Hey, State fans, Robbie Falk here from Maroon and White Daily. A little reaction post-game from Mississippi State, Alabama. I'm just back from the ball game at Humphrey Coliseum, and man, what another heartbreaker for the Bulldogs. This one played out a lot similarly to what we've seen at the Hump between Mississippi State and Alabama in years past. Same kind of game we've seen with Mississippi State and Kentucky. Mississippi State against these teams that play pace, that play three-point shooting offense. Like, this is the game that happens almost every single time. And it actually, Mississippi State, I think, has shown that they can keep up with this pace. They can play step for step in this pace in these ball games, especially at home, and mostly at home, really. But the Bulldogs, when they get into these ball games at the, under 2 minutes remaining, they cannot win these games. And if they do win these games, it's happening in overtime. We saw it with Ole Miss. State did not finish regulation well. They did not handle that last minute well. They did not finish regulation well against South Carolina. They had to get a lead in those ball games, in the final minute or so, final couple of minutes in overtime to win those games. Faced with a couple of possessions where the game is within a possession, Mississippi State really struggles to win these kind of ball games. And at some point, they got to figure it out. And here's how this one played out tonight. So Mississippi State is fighting their tail off in this game, down by 1 point in the last 20 seconds. Alabama's got the basketball. You're trying to get a stop, get the ball back with a chance to win the game in the final possession. State fouls, and Alabama misses 2 free throws. Instead of getting the rebound right there, taking the ball down and going and winning the ball game, State can't get the rebound. So offensive board for Alabama, they get it back. They miss the front end of the 1-and-1. Mississippi State's got the ball with 20 seconds left. They choose to play it out, which, talking to Chris Jones post-game, he didn't want Alabama's defense to get set. He felt like he could score with Alabama's defense a little, out of sorts. So it turns out he was, I thought he, in the end, he was right. He could have scored right there because Kesha Murphy had a wide open lane for a layup at the rim. This is a guy that played unbelievably well in this game, and he just missed the layup. And Bama gets the ball back. They end up taking a 3-point lead, and then State turns the ball over on the next possession, and Alabama's able to push it out to a 2-possession win. State just really struggles in these ball games to finish it out, and they were hand-delivered this one. They had every opportunity there in the last 20 seconds to go win this game, and they just didn't do it. What really sucks about it is Kesha Murphy was involved in it. And I've already seen people that are blaming him for this loss. You are crazy if you're going to blame Kesha Murphy for this loss. And I totally get it. If he makes that layup, Mississippi State's winning. I mean, in my mind, I've seen this play out before. In my mind, Alabama comes down the court, hits a game-winning three-pointer. So that would have been mute anyway. But obviously, you would rather have the opportunity to get the lead right there. I'm not blaming Kesha Murphy at no point in this ball game for being the reason Mississippi State lost. 18 points, 8 of 13 shooting, 6 rebounds. He was tied for the most rebounds on the team. He was second on the team in points. 27 minutes. He gave you phenomenal effort on both ends. And he does not deserve any blame for this. If you're a person that's blaming him from that, just turn your phone off, turn your computer off, and just don't say anything because it's ridiculous. So he deserves none of your blame. I thought he played very well in this game. It's really a shame that he was involved in that play because he doesn't deserve it at all. He doesn't deserve any criticism, but it sucks how it played out that way. Josh Hubbard was Josh Hubbard in this game, as good as he has been at Mississippi State. I mean, he was phenomenal. 38 points, which is a new career high. It's kind of crazy. Both games he's scored 30-plus points. I think he might have scored another 30-plus point game, but his previous career high was Kentucky last year. He scored 34 against Kentucky in a game that was almost exactly like this. And Hubbard ends up scoring 38 in this one. And it wasn't just that he was just shooting a ton of shots and he just got his points. He was legitimately cooking in the second half especially. His second half was as good as we've seen from him. Let's see what he did. 25 in the second half, just incredible. 9 of 16 from the field. 3 of 7 for 3, which is not bad at all. And 3 assists with just 1 turnover. And I believe that turnover, I think that was on the last possession. Let's see who they gave it to. Just bear with me real quick. Yep, they gave it to Josh. That was his only turnover. That's what sucks about it is Hubbard and Murphy were both the guys on the last 2 possessions. That Hubbard turns it over in that last possession. Murphy misses the layup. It played out just like the women's game. Jerkella Jordan had 40 points the other night. Turns the ball over and Missouri goes and wins the game. That it's how it happens sometimes, and I guess it happens that way because that's your hot hands, Hubbard and Murphy, and both of them were great in the second half. 2 turnovers between them. State turned the ball over 9 times. They really took care of the basketball. 14 turnovers for Bama, and Chris Jans thought that they could turn them over, and they did. They turned Mark Sears over 7 times. He had 17 points though, with 6 rebounds and 9 assists. So he's still factored into it. But the real killer for Mississippi State was Chris Youngblood. This is a guy coming into this ball game who had made 18 of 60 3-pointers. And some Alabama fans got mad at me because I mentioned, this guy's done nothing from 3 pretty much this year. I realized this is a good player and was a good pickup for them. And he's a good player. He's just been trying to kind of struggling through an injury. But he has not been like this all year. 7 of 10 from 3. He had 18 3-pointers, like I said, coming in. He's 30% 3-point shooter. And I realize he's done it before. He's been a good shooter before, but he's not done it this year. And he just went off. I mean, this was the Kentucky game all over again. 7 3-pointers. 7 of 10, and that's where all of his points came from. Basically, he was 2 for 4 from the line, but every field goal was 3-pointer. He was 0 for 1 inside of 3, 7 of 10 from long distance. They finished 15 of 31, and this is what Alabama does. We joke about like people get hot when they come to the hump, but Alabama and Kentucky, this is what they do. They have nights where they hit 14 to 16 3-pointers. They had a lot of possessions, and they were extremely efficient. If they didn't turn the ball over, they were hitting shots. They shot 49% from the field. They had 24 defensive rebounds and 17 offensive rebounds. So, I mean, they were eking up on having more offensive rebounds than defensive, and they had 14 second-chance points. The second-chance points and the 3-pointers were killer for Alabama in this. State 10 of 16 from the line. Alabama 11 of 20. Neither team was particularly good there. State was 8 of 25 from 3, so they were kind of hit or miss. They started 5 of 16, so it just didn't have a great night from 3. But Josh Hubbard obviously 6 of 15. The rest of the team was 2 for 10 from 3, and the other 2 came from Claudio Harris. You got 2 points from Riley Kugel. R.J. Melendez played just 18 minutes. He was injured in the first half. Hardly played in the second half. That was huge not having him. And like I said, Kugel you didn't have a great game from him. He had 4 of your 9 turnovers. 4 points from Cam Matthews. That's 4 points in the last 2 games for him. He was much better in this game. He didn't turn the ball over a lot. He had 4 assists and 6 rebounds. He just didn't shoot it. But you got to get more from Matthews and you got to get more from Kugel, and neither one of them gave you much, just 6 points. But it's hard to really complain about the offense. You had 84 points. You shot at 50%. You did enough on offense. I thought the offensive rebounds were just absolutely massive, though. State just did not get them. I think what State is good at is kind of hurting them against these teams. They're really good at defending the baseline. I thought they cut off a lot of plays baseline. Alabama will go baseline on you and get some easy buckets or some easy dish offs for points. State cut off those baseline drives, especially with Mark Sears, who's a guy that can really drive it and score. He turned the ball over a lot trying to get baseline. And State double teaming, it works a lot of the times. But when you double team, that means someone else is open. And Kentucky and Alabama, they're kicking out, they're finding open shooters, and they're nailing those shots. State had a lot of those shots too, and they just didn't fall. There was probably 4 or 5 wide open to great looks at 3. And if you hit 2 of them where you're wide open, you win this ball game. That's the kind of plays there that they come back to haunt you, and State just wasn't able to make it. A heartbreaking loss. It's not a killer. I know people are tired of that. They're tired of losing these games, but this is one of those things where if you're Mississippi State, you cannot let this dictate what happens on Saturday. You have got to go out Saturday against Missouri, and you got to go win the ball game. That's a must-win for you right now. A top 20 game against Missouri, another team that can shoot it. State's got to go win it. You win that ball game, it's chalk. This was kind of a pick'em ball game. A lot of people thought Bama was going to win this one anyway, but it was kind of a toss-up. So it's not one that kills you. It hurts the fact that you were right there of getting another quad 1 win and beating a top 5 team and continuing to build that resume. But State they're a good team, but like Chris Jans said, what these losses have shown him is they're not a top 10 team. He said, it hurts to say that. I don't want to say that. But that's the reality of the situation is we are not that team yet. I love this team, but we're not that team. That's Chris Jans' thoughts. And I love the honesty there from Jans that this team, they've got to find ways to win these ball games. You went to Auburn, you got blown out. You went to Tennessee and got blown out. You had chances against Kentucky and Alabama, close but no cigar. Until you win those ball games, until you show a more competitive fight in you when you go on the road against top 5 teams, you're not quite where you want to be. And this team, for whatever reason, they have it fluctuates from game to game. Josh Hubbard doesn't hit some shots here. Riley Kugel doesn't have a good night here. RJ Melendez might not have a good night, or Cam Matthews. You can't get everybody on the same page. When this team can get everybody playing well, they are going to be hell on wheels. But right now, it's just 2 players really kind of dominating the ball game for Mississippi State offensively, and then nobody else. They've got to get more play. You look at what Alabama did. Youngblood with 23, Mark Sears with 17, Grant Nelson had 15, Holloway had 12, and they were all hitting big shots. Sears hit 3 3-pointers, Youngblood 7, Holloway with 3 3-pointers. Even Diabate had 9 rebounds, 7 rebounds for Nelson. Amore was 7 rebounds, 9 assists for Sears. They had a more collective effort from their team, and Mississippi State just didn't. And I think RJ Melendez being out was killer too. If he's healthy in this ball game, it looks a lot different. Defensively especially, I don't think Bama scores over 80 with Melendez in the ball game. He's one of your better defenders out front, and you really missed that. He just, in the second half, he couldn't go. You could see him when he came out of the locker room. He just didn't look like he was ready. Chris Jans doesn't believe that it's anything long-term with him, especially, and he came back in the ball game. He said he's been dealing with this, turning his ankle or whatever. Josh Hubbard had the same thing. He turned his ankle, said post-game that he had some antibiotics, some strong antibiotics he took that helped him. But, I don't think either one of them is going to be a long-term deal. But State's got to get healthy. They got to get ready to play Saturday. I mean, it is a huge ball game against Missouri, and there's so many big games left on the schedule. State plays Florida at home. They play Texas A&M at home. You got to go to Ole Miss. You got Texas at home, who's playing better. You got to go to Arkansas. The schedule's not. You got to go to Alabama. The schedule's not getting any easier, and State's got to find wins here as they sit here 4-4. But didn't get it on Wednesday night. It's a tough one because it was an unbelievable crowd again. The Hump is becoming easily one of the best venues in college basketball. I mean, it's unreal what it has become here lately. I'd think back to 2012 or whatever. State had a good team, and I remember being frustrated with the fans because everybody's kind of sitting down. It had gotten away from what it was in the early 2000s and the late 1990s, even mid 1990s, where it was one of the more feared places to play. And we're starting to see it again. It's as good as it's ever been to me. It's loud. The students are active in the ball game. It never gets, really dialed down. And I think that fans have got to continue to bring that. You got to continue to bring that energy and, try to wheel this team through some of these games. I know it's frustrating to keep packing it out and having games like this, but you also have games like you did against Ole Miss. You don't win that ball game without the crowd. And the crowd's got to be there Saturday. It's another sellout. I think it's going to be packed. It's going to be loud for Missouri, and State really needs to win it. So you cannot let, over the next few days, State's got to bounce back. They can't let Alabama beat them again. That's the key this week. So tough loss for the Bulldogs, 88-84. They fall to 16-5 on the season, still in good shape for the most part. They need to win these games at some point, and we'll see if they're able to get through. All right, guys, appreciate y'all sticking it out. We're at midnight here. I just got back from the game. That's my thoughts on it. We'll have more on Thunder and Lightning the rest of the week. If you don't know about Thunder and Lightning, that's myself and Brian Haydad. Come check us out every day, Monday through Friday. You can find us on YouTube, on the Super Talk YouTube channel, or you can listen to us wherever you get your podcast. And also, I thank you guys for checking this video out. If you're new, please subscribe to my channel for more content like this. And also, I'd love for you guys to come check us out at Maroon and White Daily for all things Mississippi State sports. Great community, great coverage. We'd love to have you over there. All right, guys, appreciate you. Hope you have a great rest of your week, and we'll catch you down the road later this week.